Hi, welcome back to my channel, Alyssa Cotten. We are on day 16. I am so excited. I am so just like honored that you are here on this journey with me. So today we're going to talk all about triggers, what that word even means, what to do once we feel triggered, and we're going to explore all the ways and kind of things that go along with that name of being triggered. Let's get started. So you might be familiar with the word trigger or what that means or what kind of that is. And if you're not familiar with what a trigger is something when something externally in our environment or even from our past kind of evokes a strong emotion, a strong feeling, thought, or even just kind of sensation. We can have positive triggers and we can also have negative triggers. The negative triggers tend to be the one that kind of debilitate us. They kind of remove us from reality for that brief moment. And so we're going to go in today all the different ways that we can get triggered and what to do once we've felt being triggered. So what happens is one of our five senses is actually what triggers us. So it could be something we smell, taste, touch, see, feel, all those senses. One of those gets activated from something externally, and then internally there is a reaction. There's a shift, there's a change. So for example, let's say I'm unpacking from a vacation and I open up the sunscreen. That is going to trigger hopefully a positive emotion. I might think of the ocean or palm trees or sun. So me smelling that activates my smell, my sense of smell, and that is going to evoke an emotion or thought or even a memory to come forward. On the other hand, you might have negative triggers. Let's say you're shopping in the mall and you smell a certain type of perfume, and that perfume might have been the same kind of perfume that maybe your abuser or your perpetrator was wearing at the time of maybe abuse. And so that can evoke a really strong negative emotion, negative memories to come forward, and even negative thoughts to come forward. So again, we can be triggered by any of our five senses at any time. Triggers are things we cannot control. Even if we lived like in this perfect bubble, something would still activate and trigger us. And so the best thing we can do is once we realize that we had a strong internal reaction, whether that is in a positive emotion or a negative emotion, a positive thought or negative thought, or even a memory comes forward, just pause for that moment and say, I have been triggered. You naming it and putting that label on that you had been triggered is going to allow you to realize that this is not happening in the present moment, but this is a trigger from your past. And usually when we're triggered, it's memories from our past that come forward that kind of evoke those emotions. And so being mindful that we can get triggered all day long. We might be at work and we might get an email that says, can we talk? And that might trigger something in your past. Maybe you got an email from a former boss that said, can we talk? And you ended up getting fired. So that's going to be a strong emotion, a strong internal activation that's going to remind you, all right, I've been triggered. I don't know what this email means. I don't know what this meeting is about. It might be, hey, I want to talk to you about my weekend or how awesome you're doing as an employee. And so a lot of times what happens is we get caught up in our trigger and we're unable to think rationally. We're unable to think logically because of what's happening internally. Again, we can also have positive emotions. If we're feeling kind of sad or down, we might go look at photos from our past that made us really happy, and that can evoke a really strong positive emotion. So again, each one of our senses can trigger an internal response. Again, triggers are things that we cannot control, and there's nothing we can do to stop the triggers. You know, obviously we can be mindful of people, places, and things that really do trigger and activate us. But at the end of the day, something that we never thought could be triggered can trigger us. So today's reflective question is asking yourself, which five of your senses triggers you the most? Is it something you're smelling? Is it something you're seeing? Is it something you're hearing? Something you've tasted, or even something that you've touched? So ask yourself, which of your five senses tends to trigger you the most? And you can, again, have positive triggers and negative triggers. So you don't have to just highlight on the negative ones. Those ones tend to be the ones where we're able to remember, oh my gosh, I was so triggered during that event because XYZ happened. Sometimes it's harder for us to recognize that we've been triggered from a positive experience, or maybe with food, right? We might have a home cooked meal. We could say, oh, I used to eat this with my grandparents when I was little. So that could be another example of a positive emotion kind of being evoked by triggers. So what we can do with the triggers is acknowledge that they're there and then do something about it. So once we've acknowledged that we've been triggered, we can pause, we can take a deep breath and create a plan that allows us to feel more safe in the moment. Safety is the best thing we can do at any point that we feel a negative trigger. So today's inspired action is, before you head to bed, ask yourself, was I triggered at all today? And if I was triggered, which of my 5 senses triggered me the most? And so just doing some of that reflection of, when did I have a really strong internal reaction, whether that was through my thoughts, my feelings, or even memories coming forward. Thank you so much for joining me. Day 16, we did it. We're just moving along. It's going by so fast, and I'm just so grateful to have you on this journey. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Thanks, have a great day.